It is exactly 38 minutes past the hour. Thank you so much for staying with the Daily Report. My name is George Maringa. Tonight you have a conversation about SHA in the private lens, the Social Health Authority. And to have this conversation is none other than Dr. Brian Lishenga. He is chairperson of Rural Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya, RUFA. He's already here in studio. Dr. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, thank you.
Indeed, asante sana.
Yes.
I'll begin by looking at this from two perspectives. You are not only a doctor but also a Kenyan. And when SHA was introduced, a lot was talked about, a lot was said. There seemed not to be a connection, rather a disconnect, if you could call it. From where you sit, even as a medic, did you understand SHA in the first place? And do you still understand SHA? Because, I mean, it touches on you guys.
Yes. The honest answer is, as a medical doctor, and because my colleagues were a bit involved in the process of the transition. Yes, I would say more than the ordinary Kenyan. I had some understanding of what was going on and why. Yes, of course, it's a very complex thing, and we did need more time as a people to understand and to educate ourselves about this reform. Remember, we've been trying to reform the healthcare system for quite some time. Yes. There was a major attempt sometime in 2003 under the President Mwai Kibaki, so over 20 years ago, and unfortunately that didn't come through. The former President Uhuru Kenyatta tried, and there was the UHC pilot, and unfortunately, although we made strides under Uhuru Kenyatta, we didn't actually get to universal healthcare. So I would say that the push by President William Ruto's government to get UHC done, so that Kenyans can have, by the way, the definition for universal healthcare is also something that we still haven't understood as a people, but essentially the idea was that no one should incur catastrophic healthcare expenditure. Nobody should be driven into poverty because of an illness. That we should offer social protection for Kenyans in line with the Constitution 2010 that we passed, I think Article 43, that assures every Kenyan of the right to the highest quality of healthcare possible. Okay. So I think that I understood what this administration was doing, and I think what was missing is, did we carry Kenyans along? And now it brings us to the point that the next aspect of this conversation. Were Kenyans on board? Did you feel that, one, they were informed enough of what this was all about? Do you feel that, because we've seen in the dailies, there are reports that it has created even two clusters of Kenyans. Civil servants, in fact, appear to be enjoying as an inpatient of 700,000, an outpatient of a good amount, and dental and optical, I think, of about 40,000 Kenya shillings. Those discrepancies, if you could call it, and imbalances, where does that leave the common mwananchi? So, the intention was never to create two classes of Kenyans. I think the spirit around the reforms was to make it possible for every Kenyan to access healthcare. However, I think some of the things they are doing recently, like the reintroduction of the enhanced benefit schemes, like the civil servant scheme, are actually coming out of poor design. These are aspects that have come back because stakeholder views in some cases were not well considered. But I also believe that if the benefits package, because this is really about the benefits package, if the benefits package was good enough, we don't need a separate scheme for civil servants, because, think about it. Who are civil servants? Principal secretaries are civil servants, a lot of state officers, people, mostly people who earn much better than most Kenyans. Now, if the benefit package, the argument has always been, if it is good for the gander, for the goose, it should be good for for the gander.
Yes.
So I think the main misgiving is that the benefits that are being proposed under this reform are not acceptable to certain segments of the population. And because those segments of the population have a higher negotiating power, then you are seeing the push or the bending over backwards by the state to accommodate them. But I would take the position, I would take the side of Kenyans here. I would say, if you think that you can create a better medical scheme for a certain segment of Kenyans, then we as Kenyans, all of us want it. We want that outpatient cover that is amazing.
Yes.
We want that inpatient cover that can guarantee my family the private room and the best medication. This is the promise of SHA. The promise of SHA is that you will pay more money, yes. You will pay 2.75% of your gross salary, yes. Parliament will allocate a substantial amount of money every year for the primary healthcare fund, good. Parliament will also allocate a substantial amount of money every year for the emergency, chronic and critical illnesses fund. This is, I mean, whether you're talking about PHC or you're talking about ECCIF, this is money that is coming from Kenyans. Because Parliament can only allocate taxes. Where do taxes come from? They come from you and me. Where do the chief contributions of 2.75% and the ones we are doing through means testing, where do they come from? They come from you and me. So the sacrifice that Kenyans are willing to make within these harsh economic terms is supposed to result in better healthcare. But we have a situation. Let me explain the kind of situation we have. In our recent survey, which we did between 9th and 10th of December, one of the things that we did differently this time is we wanted to find out from providers what is the feedback they are getting from patients about outpatient services, about maternity services, about surgical services. And this is what they told us. They told us that the general perception for outpatient services, which are under primary healthcare, is extremely negative. In fact, it is very negative to negative. We asked them, on a scale of 1 to 5, score outpatient services, how is the experience? Most of them gave a score of 1. In fact, we had some, because it was an online survey as well, we had some quite interesting responses. Some of them are asking, why is there no 0? So it is overwhelming. It is overwhelmingly negative. And we know why it is negative. I will explain why it is negative. One, for instance, under NHIF, there was a reimbursement mechanism known as outpatient capitation, which means that for every person who is a beneficiary, a certain amount of money per year was allocated for their care. Now, this money was paid to a hospital. What you needed to do under NHIF is to choose a hospital. So if you chose a level 3 hospital, maybe it's the one near you, the fund would pay that hospital 1,000 shillings per year to take care of you in case you fall sick or your family. And they would pay you even for every single family member, that same 1,000 bob. So for a level 3, it would turn out to something like 83 shillings per month. Now, for level 4, 5, and 6, the capitation rate was 1,400. Okay? So at 1,400, they were capitating at about 350 shillings per quarter. Here is the interesting thing. Under SHA, that amount has been reduced to 900 shillings.
From 1,000?
1,000 was the least. In fact, at level 4, it was 1,400. So now it is 900 shillings. You will ask me as stakeholders, how did we accept a reduction from 1,400 to 900 shillings? There was a very nice vision. And why we are calling the government to, we are calling them to be honest here, is because it is on the basis of the vision that was painted that we stood up and said that SHA is better than NHIF. So 900 shillings, we were told, accept 900 shillings because unlike NHIF, SHA will have all Kenyans. So NHIF was having maybe at the best moment something like something like 8 million subscribers, right? Something like that, beneficiaries. Now, we were told you are not going to have 8 million, 9 million subscribers. You are looking at 45 or 50 million Kenyans. So if you have 50 million Kenyans in that basket, surely you can accept 900 shillings. Now, we also understood that the model of reimbursement for outpatient would be the same as NHIF. What I mean is that if George and his family are registered, what happens is that for your entire family, let's say you are 4 people, we will be paid 900 shillings times 4 people per annum. Now, if you look at it, let's do
600.
Yes, that's 600. Let us do simple math. Kenyan, they roughly estimate the Kenyan population to be 50 million. Okay, those who were supposed to be registered. 900 shillings times 50 million Kenyans. That was supposed to be the allocation for primary health care. That is 45 billion shillings.
Yes.
What happened? Parliament allocated just 4 billion shillings, 4.1 billion shillings in the last budget. That is less than 10% of the amount of money that was required. Now, because of this very small parliamentary allocation, which they explained and told us that the reason why they are allocating a smaller amount is because as registration increases, we will increase the amount. Okay? As registration increased, yes, certainly. Registration is much more. They even imported people into SHA, and we have reports showing that registration is going up. Has the money increased? Certainly not. Have we seen attempts or movements in Parliament to increase the primary healthcare allocation? No. Secondly, they proposed what was gazetted in the Gazette notice by the Minister for Benefits and Tariffs. What was gazetted was not what was discussed when we had the benefits and tariffs.
Is that so?
Yes. What that was gazetted was not there. You see, as I mentioned, as I explained, what we had hoped is that it will be a per person rate of 900 per year. Instead, what was gazetted was something called a global budget against a primary care network. Now, a primary care network being defined as a specific geographical area with facilities arranged in a hub and spoke, where that specific population is assigned a budget. Now, so if you have a constituency like Dagoretti South, for example, so Dagoretti South would be qualified as a primary care network. Okay? Now, at Dagoretti South, if let's say the population is 300,000 people here, what they are supposed to do, apparently, which we also don't understand very well, is they would say 300,000 people in Dagoretti, their budget for outpatient is 300,000 people times 900 per year. That is 270 million shillings. And then that is the budget for primary healthcare for Dagoretti South. And then they will say how many hospitals are in Dagoretti South. They will say in that primary care networks it's X number of hospitals. So we thought this 270 million, these hospitals will be given that money.
Anyway, I'm picking a lot of shortchanging in this deal.
It is, what can I say? I can say it this way, that there is a disconnect between the amount of money that Kenyans are being asked to raise and the benefits that SHA is providing, especially on key aspects. Primary health care. These outpatient services is been totally ignored. The reason why Kenyans are complaining today, they are not complaining largely because of, let's say, maternity services. We did find out in our survey that maternity services is actually 55% approval. That is more than a half. But they are complaining because when they take their child to hospital with a fever, they are asked to pay out of pocket. Why are they being asked to pay out of pocket in a hospital? They were patients before we moved to SHA who were capitated or assigned to level 4, 5, 6 hospitals. Because the law says that primary health care can only happen at level 2 and 3 and select level 4s, those patients who used to go to Kenyatta, who used to go to Mama Lucy, who used to go to, KUTTRH, patients who used to go to Nakuru County Referral Hospital, which is a level 5, or Coast General. These patients, for outpatient services, are now walking the streets of Kenya without a hospital. When they land at any hospital here, they are told, no, but you are not in my list. So pay cash.
Pay cash.
Now, what we have been saying is that the promise was you will pay more money, but when we start, you can walk into any hospital, and walk out.
Because it's supposed to be a pool, amchango, so that everyone can
This is
benefit.
not what we are saying. And literally what is happening is there is, I don't know whether it is shyness by design, or whether it is reluctance, or whether maybe the money isn't there, which is very strange, because I am aware that you and I are aware that they have collected on the 9th of November and the 9th of December.
Yes.
And we know that they are collecting much more because, hey, it is 2.75%. They are definitely collecting much more. Why is it that you collect more money? And we understand that you are collecting for the SHA fund. If you are saying that this is money for SHA fund, it cannot be used for primary health care, why can't Parliament be recalled and pass a supplementary budget to increase the allocation for primary health care? Until the allocation for primary health care is sorted, we will keep seeing out-of-pocket payment.
Okay. Let's enter the home stretch of this conversation. We've just got a few minutes before we wind up. I'm sure you've seen the complaints. It's actually what I was trying to fetch earlier. There is a complaint and bills surfaced online, I think yesterday, in the last 24, 48 hours, that SHA is paying 9%. There is a bill of someone who had 133,199, patient to pay 91%, a bill of 146,000 rather, patient to pay 133K, that's 91%, and SHA to pay 13K, which is 9%. I mean, where does then this leave Kenyans?
This is very interesting.
So what would be the remedy, and perhaps where would Kenyans need to go? Because the same government has said, in fact, we did see the CS last week say, if you're unsatisfied with SHA, get your own private medical insurance.
No. This is not the way we should go. One thing I want to point out to you, the problems we are seeing now with the transition are almost exclusively problems of the two new funds that were created. Remember, SHIF, the Social Health Insurance Fund, is literally the successor of NHIF. SHIF is basically NHIF at a higher rate. But what you're talking about, the ICU bills that we have seen recently that patients are complaining, that ICU bill, and we had a circular that also came out from the Principal Secretary saying that SHA will pay the daily bed rate, nothing more. When we were discussing as stakeholders with the ministry, the repayment for ICU was 44,420 per day.
Per day? Per person?
Yes, 44,240 per day. If you are admitted, the promise was that SHA will pay for you 44,240 per day to a maximum of 14 days. So at least you are guaranteed close to half a million in reimbursement. Okay? What happened instead? We have a reversal, because this is not what was gazetted. What was gazetted is not what was discussed. What was discussed was 44,240, and on the basis of 44,240, healthcare providers came out. Even if they were not happy, they said it is definitely better than NHIF. Because under NHIF, we still have bed rebate. So how is it possible?
So how many?
Let me just say this. How is it possible that now we have a situation where we are paying more from our salaries, and Parliament is supposed to allocate also from taxes, and yet the benefit for ICU is the same? Is the same as under NHIF?
Okay. So then, where do we, as we close, perhaps, Dr. Harry, number one? So what will Kenyans need to do? Do we then just say, okay, imefanyika?
No, it's not a situation of, we are not giving up, number one. And I think that the state needs to understand this. We who are bringing up these issues are not bringing them up because we want SHA to fail. I think that narrative is wrong. The narrative that's been going on is that if you correct SHA, then you are pro-NHIF and you are eating from NHIF. No. Actually, we want SHA to succeed. But we are saying that during the benefits discussion, you promised X amount. Sindio?
Yes.
Why would you, during now delivery, implementation, deliver Y? You get? So it's very simple. We are throwing the ball back to the Ministry of Health. We are telling them, go back to the promises that you made. You told Kenyans that if you need primary health care, you will walk in and walk out. You told Kenyans that level 4 hospitals would not turn away people who need primary health services. Today, as we are seated here, the portal for level 4 hospitals for outpatient is closed.
It's closed.
You told Kenyans that in ICU, you will never, WhatsApp groups za mchango, those groups za mchango za WhatsApp, they are closed. Why is it that you're only paying 3,000 bob for ICU? Please go back to the promises. Implement the promises.
Okay, go back to the promises, implement the promises. What a way to end up this conversation. We do hope that those who are leading the SHA drive will be able to address concerns from associations like RUFA, and thank you for shining the light, Dr. Harry, tonight.
It's a pleasure.
Indeed, we've been speaking to Dr. Brian Lishenga. He is chairperson of Rural Urban Private Hospitals Association of Kenya, RUFA. My name is George Maringa. On Sign Language has been Calvin McCorry. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you tomorrow.